These days, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are must-haves in your car. And with the Alpine iLX-W770, you get them on a nearly 7-inch touchscreen. Since it's wireless, you can leave your phone in the pocket. Not only does it give you Alpine sound quality right out of the box, it can also work with Alpine's intelligently designed power pack amps to deliver even more power. Let's check it out. The Alpine iLX-W770 fits into a traditional 4-inch or double-din opening found in most cars and trucks, sporting a 6 3/4-inch touchscreen. Since the W770 doesn't play CDs, it doesn't need to be as deep, so unlike the boxy factory stereo you're considering replacing, it has a lot of room behind it. That actually helps it fit into more cars due to its shallow mount, and it creates a sort of pocket where you have room for wiring harnesses and other installation gear. Alpine's actually got a pretty nifty idea about how to use that extra space, but we'll talk about that a little later. The front face of the stereo is completely flat, which makes it look really sleek when it's installed. A row of touch controls at the bottom of the screen gives you some basic options for control, and while the screen isn't high res per se, it is high contrast and plenty responsive. It does a great job of displaying graphics and text for maps, album art, and anything else. Text is easy to read, and the screen does a pretty good job in bright daylight. The screen is essential because it's your interface with your phone while connected to CarPlay or Android Auto. Those protocols make it easy to not physically interact with your actual phone at all, instead offering voice control and the touchscreen to help you handle phone calls, text messages, and other tasks with minimal distraction. It's the best of your phone right on the dash in front of you. All you have to do is connect your phone to your stereo once, and then each time you get back in your car, your apps and maps will pop up right there on the screen. You can leave your phone in your pocket or purse, no dangly cables needed. You can also connect to CarPlay or Android Auto using a wired USB connection if you prefer, like say you're on a long car trip or you need to charge your phone. The USB input on the W770 is found on the back of the stereo, so when you install it, you'll need to route a cable somewhere convenient. Alpine includes a USB extension cable for exactly this purpose. Just find a good spot, connect the extension cable to the rear USB slot, and run it under some trim to the spot you chose. Maybe my favorite feature is that I can pick the navigation I like best. I've got an iPhone, so I'll show you how CarPlay looks during the video, but the premise is the same for Android Auto. Android Auto and CarPlay both work with a number of different apps, so you're sure to discover something useful to you. For the navigation, Alpine includes a GPS antenna with the W770. This is a great idea because with a stronger GPS signal, your phone's maps and navigation will be more reliable and more accurate. We've all been on a trip and needed the maps to reroute quickly to avoid trouble, and having a strong signal at all times helps make that happen. I love that the CarPlay interface follows me from car to car and works the same way on all screens. I can hop in any rental car, bring up CarPlay, and start navigating without having to familiarize myself with all the new buttons. I would guess this comes especially in handy when traveling overseas where I'm trying to navigate but don't speak the language. Crutchfield, send me to Europe. We've sold Alpine car stereos since the first catalog back in the 1970s and have always been impressed with their commitment to sound quality. The difference between an aftermarket stereo and a typical factory stereo starts with power. Most factory stereos are underpowered and built to cut costs and shave around corners whenever possible. The W770 gives you a boost of power immediately, and it's something you're going to notice right away. Having more power isn't all about playing louder, though that definitely is part of why it's so important to sound quality. More power helps elevate and energize all the frequencies of your music, so you'll get better bass, better dynamics, better separation between the left and right channels, and it just sounds like your music has come to life with more detail. With a step up in power, you might consider adding new speakers to take full advantage. If you do, you can enter your vehicle information into our Fit Finder tool on Crutchfield.com. We've measured over 40,000 cars and counting, so you'll know it will work with yours. Alpine gives you an extensive suite of sound shaping tools in the iLX-W770, which let you fine-tune the sound in your car so it sounds exactly as you want. In any car, it's helpful to have tools like these to deal with all the things that make music harder to hear. Road noise, speakers in less than ideal locations, different interior shapes and materials, they all get in the way of enjoying great sound while you're driving. But you can compensate for a lot of that by using the built-in audio tools in the iLX-W770. The most important tool to me is time alignment. It changes the timing of the audio signal coming from each speaker so they all arrive at your ears at the same time, as if you were sitting in front of stereo speakers at home. Unlike at home, in the car, you're sitting off to one side, at a different distance from your respective speakers. So with time alignment set up, your music sounds like it's actually in front of you, floating on your dash, with clear stereo separation between left and right. There are more useful tools, including a 13-band graphic EQ for the fine-tuning, plus crossovers you can set for your speakers and your subwoofers. Those crossovers are how you tell your stereo which frequencies to send to each speaker, so they're not trying to reproduce sound they weren't designed to handle. This is really important when you're adding speakers and subs, because with the crossovers directing traffic, your speakers and subs can really play to their strengths and sound their best. The W770 has all sorts of inputs, including a front and rear camera input, and even a mini audio-video input. If you're looking to add amps and subs, you get preamp outputs for front, rear, and subwoofer. Those outputs aren't needed if you're not adding on yet, but they're there when you do need them. All of the outputs use 4-volt signal that ensures your amps get strong, clean input from the stereo. Many stereos provide a 2-volt output, which works fine, really, but higher voltage is preferred because amplifiers will always perform their best when given a strong signal, meaning you don't have to crank the gain up. Okay, so we teased it earlier, but let's revisit that extra space behind the iLX-W770's shallow chassis. The W770 is designed to fit Alpine's power packs, which are small, efficient amps that bolt on directly behind the stereo, while still allowing the combo to fit in most dashes with that standard doubled-in 4-inch opening. If you look at the stereo and amp combo from the side, the whole package is about the same size as a traditional car stereo. Since the power packs are designed to live in the empty space behind the radio, you end up with a clean installation that doesn't require a long power cable run. Simply put, the power packs are freaking cool. We first saw them at CES a number of years ago, and it was definitely one of those wow moments. Who wouldn't want extra power in their system that takes up no space in the cabin? Alpine makes 2 of these amps. First is the KTA-450, which roughly triples the already impressively built-in power of the W770 to 50 watts RMS into 4 channels. By comparison, your factory stereo will struggle to put 10 watts out. 50 watts is plenty of power for most applications, and it unlocks a world of possibilities when you choose speakers. This amp will power just about any speaker out there and really help bring out the details of your favorite songs. Alpine's other power pack is the KTA-200M, which pumps out 200 watts RMS into 1 subwoofer channel. You can use it to power a 2-ohm or a 4-ohm subwoofer, and use the W770's built-in amplifier to drive your speakers. It's the same size as the other power pack, and it bolts onto the back the same way. Now, like any other car amp, you're going to need to connect to your car's battery for power. But the cable runs for power and signal now all happen behind the dash, nice and tidy. A power and ground kit do come with each power pack as well. If these amps have enough power for your setup, they're a no-brainer. The Alpine iLX-W770 is one of the best in its category, delivering wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, useful DSP tools, and a responsive touchscreen, all at an incredible value. Add in the clever design, letting you boost your system with a compact amp without sacrificing space, and you'll understand why it's one of our best sellers. If you're interested, curious, or having trouble deciding, don't hesitate to get in touch with us here at Crutchfield. We're happy to help.